So 10 is like the last example that we did in the notes, right? Where you're given a point and you're given a line. And so the hard part about this one is that it's a fraction, right? But if you were to graph it, if the question is on the test that has this, I told you Friday that you would have a coordinate plane. And it says the distance from point A, which is negative 1/4, 5, so negative 1/4, 5, which is about there, to line negative x plus 2y equals 14, which means I have to rearrange this. It'd be 2y equals x plus 14, and then divide by 2. And y equals 1/2 x plus 7.
So good.
So 7 is there, up 1 and to the right 2, means that that line looks like this. So then you have to find, because it's slope, right, is you wanted to find it where it's perpendicular, right? Or no, it's just, yeah. You have to find where it's perpendicular in order to find the right angle. So you would reverse your slope. If the slope of this line is 1/2, I want the slope of the other line to be what? Negative 2. Yeah.
I think it just says find the distance, not if it's perpendicular.
Right, but you have to find the distance by finding the coordinate point that would be the end of that perpendicular segment. Yeah. So you're going to reverse it instead of going, so negative 2 over 1 would either be down 2 and to the right 1 or up 2 and to the left 1. And you get this segment there, right? That's hard to see a little bit because I drew all over it. But that would be perpendicular. And then you have the coordinate point here where it intersects, which was what, negative 1, 6. And then you're finding the distance between those 2 points.
Pretty hard. No, it was negative. Is that being 6.5?
Is it 6.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it going to be
If it is, I said to you that I'm not going to tell you word for what's on your test because you guys are being obnoxious about it. But if it is on the information I shared was that if it is on your test, you will be given a coordinate plane, and if it is on your test, it will be a nice obvious number like it was on the notes where you could find that coordinate point.
Why did you have to make it perpendicular?
That's how you find the distance between a point and a line, right? You have to look for the perpendicular segment.
I just found a different point, found a point on the line, and then I used the distance formula.
It's the same thing. But how do you know that that point on the line is right? Like, in order to show the distance from a point to a line, the true distance has to be the perpendicular segment. So you have to find a point on that line that would be where that perpendicular line intersects. So you have to find the perpendicular segment by doing the negative reciprocal of the long line, right? Because then that's going to give you the perpendicular line. And then identify that point from there. You can't just pick any point on that line because it could be a slanted line and then that's not true distance. Okay? Yeah.
So are we going to be dealing with decimals on the test?
So I thought I said this last week too, but every question that has a distance formula question on the test, you will keep as exact square root. You will not use a calculator. You will use it as its exact square root. Yeah. Which is why every homework assignment I said make sure when you're showing your distance, you're showing both the answer, the square root, and then what Big Ideas wanted, which was the decimal. Not today. We're going to do this today. Yeah. Yeah.
Can we do question 7? Because,
Right, the equation of a line passing through point 4, negative 6, so that's here. That's perpendicular to line y equals negative 3. So the slope of this line, if it's a y equals, is what? Of the original line, not the one, it's 0, which means perpendicular to it, the slope would be? Undefined, which if it's undefined means it's vertical, and if it's vertical, yeah. And if it's vertical, it's an x equals, and then it's whatever x.
And then, because the thing made you put 2 points to graph.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just how it makes you graph the line when you're tapping the screen.
Yeah,
You could have picked any other line that has any other point where x is negative 4. The first one,
Yeah, y equals negative 3.
you just had to pick another one where y was negative 3. So, like, you could pick this.
Yeah, I did that and I cut it wrong.
Okay.
No, because there's no way to
Yeah, because it doesn't give you another point to plot.
Right, but you could pick any other point in which y
They're like
Oh,
the,
so
is negative 3.
yeah, but I got it wrong.
Okay.
Like for like 4 negative 6, you had to put 4 and negative 6. But like, what did you have to put for the first one?
Any for that one, for the vertical line or for the horizontal line?
For the horizontal.
Any coordinate point in which the y is -3. You literally could have picked any x, but as long as the y is -3. But all right, this is 12. It says find the midpoint of PQ with the m points -7, 0, 1, 8. Then write the equation of a line that passes through the midpoint and is perpendicular to line PQ. So from PQ, this information, we need two things. We need the midpoint and we need its slope so that we can figure out what would be a perpendicular slope. So midpoint, I'm going to add the 2 x's, divide by 2, add the 2 y's, divide by 2. I get -6/2, 8/2, which is -3/4. So that's the midpoint, right? That's part of it. And that's the point I'm going to use when I plug it into the equation at the end. The second piece of information you need from these coordinate points is the slope of this line. So I would do 8 minus 0 over 1 minus a -7, which is 8/8, or 1. That's the slope of that line. We want the slope of a line that's perpendicular to it. So if that slope is 1, what's the slope perpendicular? -1. Now I use these two pieces of information and I plug it into, do you do point slope or do you y equals mx plus b? Okay, so y, which would be 4, equals m, -1, x, which is 3, plus b. 4 equals -3 plus b, and b equals 7. So my equation is y equals -x plus 7. That would be like the perpendicular, this one, there, yeah. Yeah. I just asked her which one she did because she was the one that asked.
It said the correct answer was -x plus 1. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, this is 12, right?
You might have had different numbers.
Wait.
Okay, this one says, write the equation of a line passing through point 38 that's parallel to the line y equals 1/5 x plus 4. So here's my point, and then the parallel means it's the same slope. So m equals 1/5. This was what? 5, right? Did you do point slope or you do y equals mx plus b? Okay, so y is 8, m is 1/5, x is 3 plus b. Oh, jeez Louise. And then 8 equals 3/5 plus b.
This one was pretty hard.
And then subtract the 3/5. So 8/1 becomes 40/5 minus 3/5, which is 37/5.
See, that's what I put that and it was wrong.
No, you have to put in the parentheses, so it's 1/5 divided by 30.
But that's your b, right? That's not your
Oh my god.
whole equation. The whole equation would be,
1/5 x
thank you.
plus 37/5. I put that.
So if it wants it without the slope in, you have to take that slope back out. So that if that's a format issue, that's, again, not a problem when you're showing your work. If you're showing your work and it's marking it wrong, when you have this, because you didn't take the 1/5 out, this is why I ask you to show the work. Like, you guys are freaking out over something that might not even cost you points. You need to take a deep breath.
My friend.
Yeah.
No, I definitely got that wrong.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
Yeah, you
Well,
can't.
What?
5?
Yeah, so y
Got that wrong.
Yeah, I got that one.
minus 8 equals 1/5 x minus 3. Y minus 8 equals 1/5 x minus 3/5. Add the 8.
Oh.
Y equals 1/5 x negative 3/5 plus 40/5.
Apparently I put 37. So I got that.
37/5 is right.
So you have to-
Done. So this one, I would say you would have to, because you're going to probably go off the grid on this one, because your slope was 37/5, I would make that 7 and 1/5, right? So it would be all the way up here. And then your 1/5, you're going up 1 and to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my
But
gosh.
it wouldn't let you put it in decimals. You would just have to go either 7 or 8. So that's why.
No, you could have.
Okay, but you guys, like, all right, so I worked out 1 and 2, but I told you to skip it for now. But if you had already started at 1, should have been a slope of 5 and 2, and 2 3/4 and negative 4/3, and they would have been perpendicular. But 3 is where I told you to start. It says write the equation of a line that passes through point 1, 5 and is A, parallel to line y equals 3x minus 5, And then B, perpendicular to line, y equals 3x minus 5. So there's really two questions here. Yeah. Oh, you're going to walk me through it?
Yeah.
So what does it mean? What would you get from the parallel one? So for A,
You get the same slope.
same slope. So the M is going to be what? 3.15. Do you use y equals mx plus b, or do you use point slope?
I just graphed it and I put, you guys gave the same slope on whatever the line looked like passed through one.
Oh, so I would not, because you're not always going to have graph paper. You want to use the equations instead of graphing it. One, your B might not be identifiable. Like if it's a weird fraction, you're not going to be able to identify it from your graph. So just be careful. I would say you want to use either point slope or y equals mx plus b. So raise your hand if you use point slope, just so I can get an idea. Raise your hand if you use y equals mx plus b. Okay, so this is my x and this is y. I would have chosen point slope, to be honest. Yeah, it's you have the point and you have the slope. Why not just use that equation? So 5 equals mx plus b. 5 equals 3 plus b. Subtract the 3. And b equals 2. And y equals 3x plus 2.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's the parallel one, right? Then for perpendicular, you just use the same line, but this time I'm going to do what with that slope, Kumar? Good. Negative 1/3. And then I still use the 0.15. So then y, which is 5, equals m, negative 1/3, x, which is 1, plus b. And I get 5 equals negative 1/3 plus b, add the 1/3. Now, if this is a question that's like open-ended, so b is 5 1/3, okay? If this is a question that's open-ended on your test and you want to keep it as a mixed number, you totally can. So it would be negative 1/3 x plus 5 1/3. If it's a multiple choice question, then you also have to know that might be written as a mixed number. I mean, improper. 16 over 3. Yeah, so it would be. Question on either of those?
How do you get 16 over 3?
You do like 5 1/3. So you do 3 times 5, right? Plus 1. Convert it to an improper.
Oh,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yep.
How to do that.
Well, good. You just reviewed it. All right, so 5 says write an equation of the line that passes through point 4, negative 2, and has slope 3. Let's do point slope, because that's what we're given, right? Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1.
That's just
So y,
So y equals 3x minus
go ahead, Kumar. Good, because it's y minus a negative 2, so it becomes y plus 2 equals, slope is 3, x minus 4, distribute the 3, subtract the 2. Y equals 3x minus 14.
Yeah, I'm so good. Even though I didn't do it.
And then 6 says write an equation of the line that passes through point 7, 1, and is parallel to the line with the equation. X equals 4. So if it's an x equals equation, what do I know about this slope, Santi?
So for number 5.
Nope. Wait, I'll go back to that. Jonathan,
You know that it has to be a 0, so it can't be an actual.
not 0 though.
Wait, it would be what?
If it's an x equals 4, it's vertical. Yep. And so if it's vertical, the slope is undefined. And you can't even plug anything in. You have to know that if it's undefined, it would be parallel to that. It would also be an x equals equation. And you only grab
X equals 7.
the 7. Good.
I'm so